The relationship between science and faith has long been a contentious one, with many believers feeling that the scientific community's pursuit of knowledge and understanding is somehow a threat to their deeply held convictions. This sentiment is often expressed in the idea that scientists are blaspheming God with their supposed science, implying that the work of scientists is somehow an affront to the divine. However, this notion is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the scientific method and the goals of scientific inquiry. At its core, science is a systematic and evidence-based approach to understanding the natural world. Scientists seek to develop and test hypotheses, using empirical observation and experimentation to refine their understanding of the world around them. This process is not driven by a desire to undermine or challenge religious belief, but rather to uncover the underlying mechanisms and principles that govern the universe. In doing so, scientists are not blaspheming God, but rather seeking to understand the intricate and complex workings of the creation that many believe is the product of the divine hand. One of the primary areas of contention between science and faith is the theory of evolution. Many believers see evolution as a challenge to the idea of creation, and therefore as a threat to their faith. However, evolution is simply a scientific explanation for the diversity of life on Earth, and it is supported by overwhelming evidence from fields such as biology, genetics, and paleontology. To reject evolution as a scientific theory is not to defend God, but rather to reject the evidence in the scientific method itself. Another area of conflict is the origins of the universe, with some believers arguing that the Big Bang theory is incompatible with their faith. However, the Big Bang is a scientific explanation for the origins of the universe, and it is based on a wide range of observational evidence, from the cosmic microwave background radiation to the abundance of light elements. To argue that the Big Bang is somehow blasphemous is to misunderstand the nature of scientific inquiry and the goals of cosmology. It is also worth noting that many scientists are themselves people of faith, and they see no conflict between their scientific work and their religious beliefs. In fact, many scientists argue that their faith is actually deepened by their understanding of the natural world, and that the pursuit of scientific knowledge is a way of glorifying God. This perspective is often referred to as theistic evolution, and it recognizes that science and faith are not mutually exclusive, but rather complementary ways of understanding the world. Ultimately, the idea that scientists are blaspheming God with their supposed science is a misguided one. Science is not a threat to faith, but rather a way of understanding the world that can actually deepen and enrich our spiritual lives. By embracing the scientific method and the evidence that it provides, we can gain a greater appreciation for the complexity and beauty of the natural world, and we can develop a more nuanced and informed understanding of the relationship between science and faith. In conclusion, the notion that scientists are blaspheming God with their supposed science is a misconception that is based on a lack of understanding of the scientific method and the goals of scientific inquiry. Science is not a threat to faith, but rather a way of understanding the world that can actually deepen and enrich our spiritual lives. By embracing the scientific method and the evidence that it provides, we can gain a greater appreciation for the complexity and beauty of the natural world, and we can develop a more nuanced and informed understanding of the relationship between science and faith.